Hi, welcome to another edition of Penn State Soccer Update. I'm Anna Middleton, and this is Ryan Lam here to wrap up the season for both the men's and women's team. Let's start with the men's team, who fell to Providence at home in overtime as the 15th seed in the tournament.
I mean, you kind of have to be there to realize like the pressure in that moment, right? And for that team is really young, and also they did not have much success early on in their careers for the elder players. Well, they've always been kind of stumped against the upper echelon teams in Michigan and Indiana as well. Of course, Stanford early season. You could argue about Pitt against Virginia winning and also Penn State having to win over Pitt, but then NCAA tournament is something different. It's a different animal. One-game knockout match. The team's just not equipped for it. But then overall, performance has been good. Jeff Cook's coached his team very right. Coach Erica Dambach worked with Cook in Dartmouth, having very high praise of the program as well. Put the trust in the youth. That's really important. And what he has, because, Beckford and Raffanello are both gone. So he has to play with his hands of card. And, he cooked up a very good season.
And even not just that, but last year, the men weren't even ranked. They weren't even a part of the conversation. We were always saying how it flipped this year. The women weren't ranked at one point in time, and the men were. And it was so shocking and everything. But I think Jeff Cook did an amazing job by replacing Jeremy Raffanello with freshman Liam Butts, honestly.
Yeah.
Now transitioning into the future, what do you see?
I mean, the thing is that, that's just college sports, right? You're going to lose some player like Will Campbell or maybe even Aaron Malloy. But then Cook has been very adamant about developing and playing young players. Look at Chris Shakes, Seth Kuhn, Liam Butts as well. That's one thing Bob Warming, the former coach, who said in a recent interview that he's not been doing well toward the latter part of his tenure, and Jeff Cook is really doing that. And having that experience for those young players in their freshman and sophomore years going into the future of the program, I think the future would be pretty bright, and they have that experience starting playing big minutes on big stages. So that should be a very good experience to go into the future for the Penn State men's soccer program.
Yeah, it's kind of like what we said last soccer segment. I think both the men and the women have talented players. They're all super young, though, and they don't have the experience. And who knows what that's going to do with the transition into the women's team with them having super young players.
I mean, the thing is that they ended on that 11-game winning streak, right?
Yeah.
Just sometimes winning just heals everything within the team, outside of the team, with the other people around it. And it's just enough to build up confidence. Yes, those teams might not be the marquee programs that Penn State are used to facing, but then it's all about picking that mojo back up, especially Coach Eric Adama really stressed on taking the initiative more on the offense instead of, letting up a go and then turning it back on. Of course, that happened. But then toward the end of the season, we see a very good blend of Penn State taking the initiative as a team with that front five of Tyler Ferry, Schlegel, Coffey, Abello, and also Peyton Linehan as well. And that all just kind of culminated with the taking the initiative part, but then also the second part and, just the team having that resiliency after going through that super rough patch starting 6-6-1 earlier in the season.
I think they needed to start out 6-6-1, though, to learn how to gel with each other. They had such young players like Peyton Linehan and redshirt Ali Schlegel. They needed to learn how to gel with each other, and that's what led up to the 11-game winning streak. They were able to get and honestly, if they didn't play Stanford, maybe in the Sweet 16, maybe we would see them in the national championship.
Yeah, you got to kind of right ahead in that moment, right?
Exactly. But transitioning into the future, they have such young players. What do you see?
I mean, the thing is that it's in a very interesting junction, right? When you think about it, very young players, of course, Wiesner started early on and was a star. Peyton Linehan, Corey Dyke, Ali Schlegel, all in their first season of playing. But then in the back line, that's where the problems start to come in, losing 4 out of 5 starters. When I talk to you or I talk to people even around the program or even my personal beat partner, it just kind of sucks. It's the reality of college sports, to be honest. But then losing Kaylee Real, Ellie Jean, Amanda Dennis, and Laura Suero, 4 out of 5 starters in the back line, it's going to be a little bit shaky, but then there are players to replace them. Devon Olive could play in the defense if need be. And then players like Caitlin Hayslip, who started this season and kind of started to pick up her form as well. Julia Dole's in the back of the goalkeeping room. She's been selected to a U20 selection team. And also, Kate Wiesner coming back. So, I mean, it's kind of how they juggle it. Of course, the front core it's their last year with Sam Coffey, Frankie Tagliaferri, and Kyrie Abello. Also, Shea Moore is coming back, and let's see what they could cook up in their final year. Some players just want it that hard to push them over just push them over the hump in the Sweet 16 kind of Elite 8 kind of stage, yeah.
Now, you talked about the defensive part. I want to talk about the beginning part. For the player of the year in my terms, I think it's Allie Schlegel for sure. She had 13 goals this season and the 7 assists overall. My favorite moment of all was Arizona. They were down 2-0, and Sam Coffey served it in from the midfield, and Schlegel literally got her toe on the ball to finish it and slid down. And that was probably the best experience because Allie Schlegel gets things done. And honestly, if she wasn't there, I don't know if Penn State would have made it as far as they did.
I mean, also, like, funny you should say there's a few anecdotes about that goal, like Allie Schlegel on Instagram saying like how it was a bad pass from Sam actually for her to get there. And Erica Damba actually mentioned that game as one of her like top 3 moments in all of her tenure here in Penn State, just because of the theatrics of it, going down 2 goals and going down 1 goal again. Sam Coffey scoring that goal in the 87th minute. Speaking of Sam Coffey, my player of the year, easy money, Sam Coffey. She's one of the best players on this country, I believe. And like as a soccer fan watching soccer for all those years, like you know when you see something special. She is something special. She's made a transition from a more attacking role in number 10 role back to number 8, maybe a little bit of water mover role as well with Shea Moore out. And also just like the whole team just got balanced very well around Coffey, who could maneuver the pitch like no one else, pass, of course, talk about her set pieces as well, shoot, and also dribble everywhere. So I feel like Sam Coffey's going to be it. But then now we have to kind of talk about that Stanford path. And well, that loss, it's just a little bit tragic. But, you know, Stanford has, you never know when Coffey scored. If Coffey scored that free kick, it might be it. But who's your pick for the national championship this year?
I think Stanford's going to win it all, mostly because they're 22-1 and they've only lost to Pepperdine University, which we don't understand. That was a fluke. No clue how that happened. But I see Stanford winning it all. But I see them playing UNC in the national championship just because UNC's program is excellent. It will always be excellent, like perfect. But who do you see?
For me, it's just really quick Stanford and Wazoo. Just because knockout, one-on-one knockout, right with the hot hand. That's how you usually do it. Yeah. Well, this wraps up our final look of the state of the Penn State soccer programs this season. For Anna Middleton, I'm Ryan Lam. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for watching our latest edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.